Go after the very thing that powers the whole moon. The fans. Sorry, I had to. Hello everyone, it's Ocean Unknown, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about one of my favorite films of the year, K-pop Demon Hunters, and the demon boy band, the Saja Boys, and how they, as the villains of the movie, provide excellent commentary on the dark side of the K-pop industry. First of all, I wanted to give a disclaimer that I am in no way trying to hate on K-pop or any groups in particular. I am actually a massive K-pop fan and have been for over 7 years. I literally have ATEEZ posters all over my studio and know countless K-pop choreos. However, whether I was a fan or not, all types of media are inherently critiquable, including K-pop, and the commentary shown in K-pop Demon Hunters is very important and shows that there is still a lot to be improved in the K-pop industry and how it and K-pop fandoms can do better. I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Each of the Saja Boys, Abby, Mystery, Romance, Baby, and Jinu, each represent an issue within the K-pop industry and the fandoms within it. But let's start with the group as a whole. The Saja Boys contain so much symbolism that connects with their characters and also Korean folklore as well. As the group are a part of Gwi-Ma's master plan to stop the honmoon from turning golden and sealing the demons away for good, the Saja Boys steal the souls of innocent fans from the demon hunters and famous girl group Huntrix. The name Saja Boys is actually a double entendre. In Korean, Saja means lion, great beast, or fierce creature depending on the context, which is shown in the group's logo and their fandom name, the Pride. But the word Saja also has a connection with Korean folklore. Joushin Saja, often shortened to Saja, are very similar to Grim Reapers and act as messengers to the underworld in Korean mythology. And they also wear the traditional Korean black hanbok and ga like the Saja Boys in their demon forms. Also, according to the National Institute for Korean Language, Saja may be derived from two words of Chinese origin, with one meaning messenger and the other meaning dead person. Thus, the name Saja Boys both acts as a name to showcase the group's power in performing, but also their connections to Gwi-Ma and the underworld. The name is also likely symbolic of the Saja Boys' disguise as a boy band, with a lion being their logo. On the surface level, it appears like the lion represents masculinity, strength, bravery, and loyalty to each other and their fans. However, there's so many layers to the lion symbolism with the Saja Boys. First of all, whether intentional or not, lions were used during the Unified Silla period in Korea as a symbol of expelling evil according to the National Museum of Korea, which is very ironic considering the Saja Boys are the evil that Huntrix is trying to expel the whole movie. Speaking of Huntrix, another ironic part of the lion symbol is that lionesses are the ones who do the hunting, not the male lions, and Huntrix defeat the Saja Boys and Gwi-Ma in the end, showing their strength. With the symbolism of lions being strong, brave, and loyal, the Saja Boys, especially Jinu, are actually a reverse of that. Jinu is shown time and time again to be selfish and conceited, with him betraying his family before he became a demon, and also betraying Rumi at the Idol Awards for his own personal gain. The other Saja Boys are also shown to be sluggish when not in the public eye, which shows that they're not that strong or determined like you'd expect a lion to be. Lastly, we have the Pride fandom name. Of course, Pride is the name for a group of lions, but it could possibly also represent pride as one of the 7 deadly sins. As I just mentioned, Jinu's biggest sin is his self-serving behavior, which led to him becoming a demon, so his pride is why he is the way he is. There is another darker connotation to the fandom name. Since prides are families of lions and are seen as extremely loving and protective of each other, the name also references the parasocial relationships the Pride have with the Saja Boys. It creates this intentional illusion of a connection of family and love between the artists and their fans, where the Saja Boys manipulate the fans into a false sense of security so they can feed on their souls. But if you want to join a fandom where your soul won't get eaten, please consider subscribing to this channel to join the SeaBunnies. Let's continue. The commentary K-pop Demon Hunters provides about parasocial relationships with the Saja Boys shows how massive of an issue these kinds of relationships are in K-pop fandoms and how the K-pop industry profits off of parasocial relationships between idols and fans. The Saja Boys stealing their fans' souls is symbolic of how K-pop companies steal fans' attention and profit off of fans who dedicate so much of their time and energy on their artists. This is all encapsulated in their first song, Soda Pop. The song lures people in with the catchy tune and dance moves, but the lyrics are filled with allusions to parasocial relationships and obsession. Don't want you, need you. Even if I drink and drink, it's not enough. You're mine, you already know that. I'm empty, you feed me. All bottled up in a sugary sweet beverage of a song. Now, songs using food and drinks as a metaphor isn't a new concept, let alone in K-pop. Like, you've got candy pop, candy, the other candy, ice cream cake, milkshake, cookie, and so many more. Oftentimes, food is used as a euphemism in songs for something else, and Soda Pop is clearly a song about being addicted to something hidden under a bubblegum pop instrumental and catchy shoulder shrugs. It's actually perfect that the Saja Boys use a song seemingly about food to hide their true intentions. Meanwhile, they're eating people's souls. Soda Pop also uses what we typically expect from a euphemism-filled song by having more risque lyrics in this bright and colorful pop song. Notably, I need you to fill me up, looking like snacks, I want all of you, and come and fill me up. This is also a common thing in pop and K-pop, with some examples being Drippin' by NCT Dream, and the aforementioned Ice Cream by Blackpink and Selena Gomez, Ice Cream Cake by Red Velvet, and Cookie by New Jeans. Also, it's important that I talk about how disgusting it is that 3 out of these examples, Drippin', Ice Cream Cake, and Cookie, had minors singing these inappropriate lyrics. The way minors are treated is another thing that needs to be addressed within not just K-pop but the entertainment industry as a whole, and K-pop Demon Hunters is commenting on this issue as well. Overall, Soda Pop is our introduction to the Saja Boys and to the commentary they provide on K-pop music and the dangers of parasocial relationships between fans and idols. It can seem pretty sweet and energizing at first, but then the obsession becomes draining and sucks so much out of you, literally. As the K-pop industry profits off of the idolization of K-pop idols, the Saja Boys and Gwi-Ma took advantage of this right off the bat with this infectious debut that entrances the public. Another big dangerous part of parasocial relationships that the Saja Boys and Gwi-Ma encapsulate is how K-pop companies profit off of fans' insecurities, which is so brilliantly shown in the scene after the Idol Awards. Mira and Zoe, who are introduced in the film through being applauded for embracing their insecurities by their fans, succumb to their biggest fears in this scene. Zoe is loved for living a unique life in America, and as she says in Golden, she lived 2 lives, but she's afraid that she will never belong anywhere. The fans love Mira for being the black sheep of her family and for always doing her own thing, but she's worried that she doesn't deserve to live happily and have a family with her being the outsider of her birth family. We also see this with Bobby, with his biggest insecurity being that he couldn't protect those he loves. Gwi-Ma tempts everyone by allowing them to evade any thought of their insecurities, but in turn by forfeiting all of their minds and free will to himself and the Saja Boys. Another very cool thing about this scene is that Gwi-Ma speaks to each character in their own voice to control them and profit off of their insecurities. These characters succumbing to their inner demons, pun intended, represent how the public media, including in K-pop, take advantage of the fans' insecurities to sell more products and shove their artists down the fans' throats. By marketing K-pop idols as perfect angels with clear skin, silky hair, thin bodies, the prettiest clothes, and squeaky clean past, it gives the fans people to idolize, which can cause fans to pick apart themselves. However, of course, all of this is capitalism running its toxic course. K-pop companies want fans to idolize their idols so they can overtake the fans' lives and put more money in the higher-ups' pockets. In the case of K-pop Demon Hunters, money is replaced by souls. But the Saja Boys and Gwi-Ma, just like K-pop companies, prey on the insecure to gain more money for themselves. The marketing of K-pop idols as pretty, pristine products is the perfect segue to how each Saja Boy represents an issue within the K-pop industry, starting with the Mr. Perfect, Jinu. As the Saja Boy that the film focuses on the most, Jinu has a lot going on with his character. I mentioned earlier that his biggest flaw as a character is his selfishness and how easy it is for him to sacrifice others for his own desires. But story-wise, the audience are not fully aware of where Jinu's morals and priorities are. Gwi-Ma says at the beginning of the film that Jinu has never done anything that hasn't served himself, but the writing and storytelling of the film intentionally leads the audience to believe that Jinu is having a massive change of heart due to his connection with Rumi. Both Rumi and Jinu feel this need to hide, but for very different reasons. Rumi has been told since birth to hide her demon patterns because Mira and Zoe won't accept her, but Jinu is hiding his past mistakes from everyone, especially Rumi. Because Jinu is a complex character, he's not completely good or evil. He's very real, and his main motivation for why he's going along with Gwi-Ma's plan is so he can forget his past actions that led him to become a demon. He does start to connect with Rumi over their insecurities and being demons, fans, but Jinu ultimately makes the decision to betray Rumi at the Idol Awards by exposing her patterns to the world. In the end, Jinu understands the mistakes he's made and realizes that he can't run from them anymore, choosing to sacrifice himself for Rumi as she's also embraced her insecurities and bears her patterns during the fight with the Saja Boys and Gwi-Ma. Storytelling-wise, Jinu's arc is very well written and encapsulates his desire to escape his past without confronting it. But what does this have to do with the K-pop industry, you may ask? Jinu represents the image K-pop companies sell to fans of the perfect idol. He symbolizes the idea that we as fans never truly know what's going on behind the images of flawless beauty and infectious music, and it's not our business to invade their privacy and find out. This is perfectly shown through Jinu and Rumi's relationship, with Jinu first being shown through the rose-tinted lens of a K-drama-esque scene according to Rumi. And while Jinu did want to be free of Gwi-Ma's control, he still manipulated Rumi into a false sense of security and connection. Jinu hid everything from everyone to keep this perfect image for the fans intact, and he was redeemed when he finally accepted his mistakes and didn't hide from the fact that he hurt Rumi and so many others. Next, we're going to talk about the other Saja Boys pretty quickly, since with their names and overall personas, the writers were so upfront with what the other four represent as issues within the K-pop industry. Starting with Abby, it's intentional that his whole persona revolves around his abs. Abby represents how K-pop idols are so often hypersexualized by both companies and their fans, and the obsession some people have with idols' physical appearances. This focus on idols' bodies is an issue because it can lead to very dangerous and unwarranted comments on people's bodies, and it is also a form of objectification. If you only see somebody for their muscles, then you don't see them as a person, and that's really damaging. On the other hand, Baby Saja represents how K-pop idols, especially those that are grown adults, are infantilized by their fans and their companies. One of the biggest issues within the K-pop industry is K-pop companies making artists seem more childish and like quote-unquote precious babies and profit off of this childlike image. A prime example of this is how variety shows make idols do very childish things like playing children's games or doing aegyo, which is shown perfectly in the Play Games With Us scene in K-pop Demon Hunters. These clips of idols doing childish things are often accompanied by music or sound effects typically associated with babies, like lullabies, Disney songs, sounds of squeaky toys, and babies giggling, further painting these idols in a very innocent and childish light. K-pop companies will also often make some of their artists seem aloof and silly in a childlike way to profit off of this infantilization. The infantilization of East Asian people is a massive issue internationally, not just in K-pop, but there's so many instances of both K-pop companies and fans infantilizing K-pop idols, which Baby Saja encapsulates this issue so well. Especially since the only line of dialogue he has in the entire film is "Goo Goo Gaga." Moving on to Romance Saja, he represents how K-pop companies sell this idea of the perfect partner to the fans. This is also a part of the commentary on parasocial relationships within the Saja Boys, but Romance's character provides commentary on how companies promote their artists as the perfect partner to the fans, perpetuating this toxic idea that the fans should strive to date these idols. Romance's character is also important to the film's message around parasocial relationships when you take into consideration the negative stigma surrounding K-pop idols dating and the normalization of dating bans and scandals among K-pop groups and artists. Once again, when you obsess over someone in any way, such as in a romantic sense, and see someone as something to obtain, you don't view them as a person anymore, and that's incredibly damaging for both parties. Lastly, for the Saja Boys is Mystery Saja, who represents how K-pop companies have forced idols to act differently to attract more fans or to get a viral moment. Mystery's hairstyle is a reference to various different idols who have covered their face with either hair or a mask, such as Daewon from Pink Fantasy or Junji from Only One Of. Junji has opened up to the public that his long hair that covered his face was because of the company trying to get Only One Of more recognition and virality, and it's very likely that Mystery's hair is commentary of how K-pop companies force idols to look and act a certain way to pique fans' curiosity and further perpetuate parasocial relationships and gain more profit. As far as personality, Mystery barely has any lines of dialogue in the entire movie, and that's most likely intentional to represent how K-pop companies force personalities onto their artists, especially cold, mysterious auras. Some examples of this include Elle from Infinite, Minho and Key from SHINee, and Leo from VIX, who are all forced to keep very cold and quiet personas in public, with some of them even being told not to laugh or smile to protect their images. Now, of course, we don't know how these idols act off camera, but many have noticed a shift in public persona in all of these artists after their rookie years, further proving how K-pop companies profit off of these curated, mysterious images of their artists and likely want their artists to have that for that viral moment. Mystery Saja illustrates this issue in the K-pop industry with his appearance and his lack of lines and screen time. Finally, I want to talk about the importance of the Saja Boys' final song, Your Idol, and how it perfectly encapsulates the message of the dangers of parasocial relationships and obsession within the K-pop industry. While story-wise, the song is about the Saja Boys controlling the fans and stealing their souls, and Jinu's pre-chorus, I'm the only one who loves your sins, nodding to his connection to Rumi, with this lens of critiquing the K-pop industry, Your Idol is about the fans' obsession with their favorite idols and how the industry encourages that obsession. The title Your Idol is also another double entendre, but the title being literal meaning your K-pop idol, but also meaning someone you idealize and worship. The lyrics further prove my point that the song is about a K-pop addiction, stating, keeping you in check, keeping you obsessed, play me on repeat endlessly in your head. Another huge part of K-pop companies profiting off of fans' obsession with their idols is promoting the idols as a safe space for fans to confide in, especially in regards to mental health and insecurities. All of this ties back to Gwi-Ma tempting people through their biggest insecurities, and he uses the Saja Boys as this false sanctuary for anyone struggling as a form of escapism and instant gratification. This idea is seen through the lyrics, anytime it hurts, play another verse, I will love you more when it all burns down, and I can be the star you rely on. Also story-wise, Your Idol being a metaphor for obsession, being an unhealthy coping mechanism, also has a connection with Rumi's insecurities around being a demon. Abby and Romance is part of the second verse, don't let it show, keep it all inside, the pain and the shame, keep it out of sight, is very similar to what Celine was telling Rumi her entire life, and the Saja Boys are feeding off of insecurities like Rumi's. Overall, Your Idol encapsulates what K-pop Demon Hunters is critiquing about the K-pop industry and fandoms, as the companies prey on fan struggles and then profit off of the parasocial relationships that happen so often in fandom spaces between fan and idol. The Saja Boys perfectly represent various issues within the K-pop industry and K-pop fandoms. And if you learn anything from this video, is that even though we still have a ways to go to fix the issues within the K-pop industry and the music industry as a whole, we have wonderful stories like K-pop Demon Hunters that address these issues, proving there is always time to fix the problems. That's all I have for you today. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a like, subscribe to join the SeaBunnies, and turn on the bell for notifications. Comment down below, what's your favorite song from K-pop Demon Hunters? If it isn't obvious already, my favorite song from the movie is Your Idol. But I want to hear from you. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much.